أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إليه يرد علم الساعة وما تخرج من ثمرات من أكمامها وما تحمل من أنثى ولا تضع إلا بعلمه ويوم يناديهم أين شركائي قالوا آذناك ما منا من شهيد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Juz 25. Juz 25 continues with verses 47 to 54 of Surah Fussilat, Surah Al-Shura, Surah Al-Zukhruf, Surah Al-Dukhan, and Surah Al-Jathiyah. Juz 25 begins with the final 8 verses of Surah Fussilat, where we are informed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the knowledge of Qiyamah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exposes the hypocrisy of mankind who, when touched with affliction, turns to his Creator, full of extensive supplication, but when favored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, turns away and compounds his arrogance by giving credit to himself. Then we have Surah Al-Shura, which means consultation. This surah begins by emphasizing that the message of the Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who revealed similar messages to other prophets and messengers. The religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been the same throughout history, and if He wanted, He would have made all people into one ummah. However, He has given freedom to people to make their own choice by their free will. Allah will judge people on the Day of Judgment, and in the surah, it is mentioned that the followers of this message are those who avoid major sins and who manage their affairs with mutual consultation, which are steadfast and do not follow desires. The worldly life is temporary, and it is important to abstain from major sins, establish prayer, and defend their honor. Moreover, it is evident that the Quran is light, and Allah guides whoever He wishes. Surah Shura ends with the message, the path of Allah, to whom belongs all that is in the heavens, and all that is in the earth. Verily, all the matters at the end go to Allah for decision. Surah Al-Zukhruf. Surah Al-Zukhruf, which means gold, tells us that the revelation is a mercy from Allah. Allah chooses whosoever He wills to give His revelation. The worldly goods and wealth do not necessarily mean that a person is best in the sight of Allah. The real value comes from following the truth and righteousness. This surah explains that none can impose their will upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that permission to intercede will be granted only for those who believe in Allah and in Tawheed in this world. Intercession will neither be permitted to the kuffar nor on their behalf. This surah begins with the mention of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, such as the Quran, creation of man, earth, water, and different types of animals. Allah reminds us of previous prophets like Ibrahim alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam, and Isa alayhi salam, and He describes that the friends will become enemies for some on the Day of Judgment. People with belief will be rewarded, whereas those with disbelief will be punished. The next surah is Surah Al-Dukhan, which means smoke, and this surah highlights the mercy that is the Quran, as well as addresses arguments made against this majestic book. As a warning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places emphasis on the fate of the disbelievers. Allah Almighty informs us of Musa's story and gives a description of Fir'aun and his followers to tell that once he and his people were destroyed, their land was inherited to others. Neither did heaven weep for them nor the earth. Allah states the doubts of the disbelievers on resurrection, and the example of the people of Tuba is quoted. Allah Almighty affirms that He did not create all things in play, but rather in truth. The food for sinners will be the tree of Zaqqum, and boiling water will be poured on their heads. Then Allah Almighty describes Jannah as a reward for God-fearing people, full of springs, fruits, silk garments, and beautiful women. Surah Al-Jathiyah is the next surah. Jathiyah means kneeling. This surah is the last surah in Juz 25, and it warns those who deny the divine truth. It talks about human arrogance and sinfulness. The judgment of Allah will cover all people, and nations will stand before Him kneeling. This surah begins with a description of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It tells us that these signs are everywhere, in the heavens, earth, in the creation of humans, in other creatures, in night and day, and in rain and winds. Then Allah mentions the signs of disbelievers, such as being arrogant, being sinful, being liars, laughing at the verses of Allah Almighty, and taking desires as their gods. The Israel made sects in their religion after receiving the knowledge. On the day of judgment, Allah will not make wrongdoers and the righteous equal. He says that, have you seen the one who worships his own desire, despite the fact that knowledge of God has reached him, and who is astray? The disbelievers do not believe in life after death. Every nation will be kneeling before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the last day. All their records will be placed before them, and judgment will be made. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this from us. Jazakumullahu khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.